So for our first exam style question, they just want us to state Newton's law of gravitation. So here the examiner is going to be looking for you to mention those key points that we talked about in our description of the force. These 3 bullet points here. So I'm going to write them out in words in a moment, but that's what they'd be wanting. To see not just, you could write out a formula and describe the terms in that formula, which is something we could do, but also in words, they want to make sure that you realise that they had these 3 key properties and to list those. So we're going to do that now. So here they'll be looking to see an answer something like this, that gravity is an attractive force. That's ticking off point number 1 that we needed to mention, where the force of attraction between 2 point masses, remember, because that's what we were talking about here for Newton's law of gravitation. We're always talking about point particles, point masses, is proportional to their masses. That was the second point we had to mention. And inversely proportional, that is to say it's going to be proportional to 1 over something, to the square of the distance between them. So with that, you see that with this sentence, we've ticked the 3 key points we had to mention. This attractive force, proportional to the masses, and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. But equally, we could also write this as a formula and describe the terms in its formula. So let's try that. So an acceptable alternative answer would have been something like this. And here we write that gravity is an attractive force. We have to still mention that in words because this formula doesn't tell us that necessarily. With the force between 2 point masses, so we had to identify that too. And then we basically give the equation, and then we have to describe every term in the equation, because otherwise we don't show that we really know what's going on. And that's one of the issues with using the equation instead of words, is that words, we didn't have to define what this g was. But here, because we've used it in our equation, even though it is just this constant of proportionality, which we didn't need to mention here because we just said proportional to masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance, here we have to mention it because we've written it down and therefore we have to reference it. So an attractive force between 2 point masses given by F is g m1 m2 over r squared, where g is the universal constant of gravitation, m1 and m2 are the masses of the particles, and r is the distance between them. So here, both of these answers would have worked, but if you'd gone for the formula approach, you couldn't just write down the formula. You had to define what each of the terms in the formula meant, otherwise you weren't going to get the marks. So moving on from that, we're going to do a quick sketch and then we'll do some calculations. So a point particle of mass 6 times 10 to the 24 kilograms is isolated in space, as we have now drawn below. So sketch its gravitational field. Now to be clear, this isn't actually a point in that I haven't drawn it as a point. I've drawn it to make it clear for us to see. A point particle, as again remember saying, doesn't have dimensions. It's just a useful physical concept for us. And we'll see later how we can still use Newton's gravitational law, even when we're thinking about things that have.
Hey guys! To continue watching this video and unlock hundreds of other super concise and exam board specific A-level physics videos, just click the Snap Revise smiley face. Join me today, and together let's make A-level physics a walk in the park.